Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring the fascinating world of olive trees. And we're not just talking about the olive oil that you might already have in your kitchen. You might be surprised to learn just how beneficial the leaves of these trees are for your health as well. We've been reading up on all the latest research in a piece called The Benefits of Olive Leaf and Olive Oil, Nature's Ancient Healers. So get ready because we're going to be diving deep into the world of olive trees and unearthing the secrets of these powerful ancient remedies.
It's pretty incredible, how long humans have actually been using olive trees for medicinal purposes. We're talking literally thousands of years of traditional use here, especially when it comes to the leaves.
Okay, so people have been using olive leaves for ages, but what is it that makes them so special? I mean, it's not like we see people going around munching on salads made of olive leaves, right?
Right, you hit the nail on the head there. You see, the real key lies in extracting and concentrating those compounds in the olive leaf that have all the benefits. One of the most potent compounds found in olive leaves is called oleuropein. It's actually a type of polyphenol, which is just a fancy scientific term for a powerful antioxidant that comes from plants. Oleopine is actually what gives olive leaves that slightly bitter taste, but it's also what gives them their incredible ability to protect your body.
Okay, so let's talk about antioxidants for a second. Those are the things that fight free radicals, right? I've definitely heard that free radicals can do some damage to our cells.
You got it. Free radicals are basically unstable molecules that can wreak havoc in your body, damaging cells. And that damage contributes to a whole host of problems like aging and all sorts of chronic diseases. But antioxidants, like the oleuropein we were just talking about, can actually neutralize those harmful free radicals. Think of antioxidants like little bodyguards protecting your cells from harm.
So it sounds like olive leaf extract is basically like having an army of tiny protectors fighting for you. But I'm curious, how much of a difference can it really make? I mean, is this really something that can have noticeable benefits, or is it all just hype?
Well, there's actually been a lot of scientific research into the benefits of olive leaf extract. One study that really stands out was published in a journal called Phytomedicine. This study found that people who took 500 milligrams of olive leaf extract twice a day for about 8 weeks saw a significant reduction in their systolic blood pressure. On average, their blood pressure was 11 points lower, which is a pretty big deal clinically speaking.
Wow, 11 points. That's really impressive. So it sounds like there's some real science backing up all the hype.
Exactly. This isn't just some ancient folk remedy that people are trying to pass off as a miracle cure. And the cool thing is that the benefits go way beyond just lowering blood pressure. There's actually a growing body of research showing that olive leaf extract can also improve cholesterol levels. It can actually help lower the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, but it also increases the good cholesterol, the HDL cholesterol.
So it's like a two-for-one deal for a healthy heart. Now, I've also heard that olive leaf extract can be helpful in regulating blood sugar. Is there any truth to that?
There is. Some studies have actually shown that olive leaf extract can improve your insulin sensitivity. Basically, that means it helps your body respond better to insulin, which is really important. And this is especially helpful for people who have type 2 diabetes or are at risk of developing it.
Okay, so we've got the heart health benefits, the blood sugar benefits. Is it safe to say that olive leaf extract is a powerful anti-inflammatory?
You're definitely onto something. You see, chronic inflammation is a major culprit behind so many chronic diseases these days. And the polyphenols that we find in olive leaf extract, especially that oleuropein we talked about, have demonstrated some really impressive anti-inflammatory effects.
Now, I also can't forget to mention how people have used olive leaf for centuries to fight off infections. I actually remember my grandmother used to swear by olive leaf tea whenever she felt a cold coming on. Is there actually any science to support that, or was it just an old wives' tale?
It's funny how those traditional remedies often turn out to have a solid scientific basis. Olive leaf extract has actually been proven to have antimicrobial and antiviral properties. Research suggests that it can actually stop the growth of certain types of bacteria, like E. coli and Staphylococcus aureus. Those are nasty bugs that can cause all sorts of infections. And there's even evidence suggesting that it can help you fight off viruses, which explains why it's been used for colds and flu for so long.
It's truly remarkable how much we can learn from these ancient remedies when we combine them with modern scientific research.
I completely agree. It's like a beautiful marriage of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. And speaking of research, there's some emerging evidence suggesting that olive leaf extract might actually be beneficial for brain health, too.
Really? Brain health? That's a new one for me. I'm definitely intrigued.
Well, the research suggests that those same polyphenols we've been talking about, they seem to be the key players here again. Studies have actually shown that they can help protect brain cells from the damage caused by oxidative stress and inflammation. And, those two factors are heavily implicated in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
So what you're saying is that olive leaf extract could potentially help protect our brains as we get older.
That's what the research is pointing towards, although we definitely need more studies to confirm it. But the preliminary findings are definitely promising, to say the least.
This is all so fascinating. I'm starting to see why olive leaf extract is becoming so popular. But before we move on to olive oil, I have a question for you. What's the best way to actually take olive leaf extract? Are there different options?
There are actually a few different ways you can enjoy the benefits of olive leaf. One of the most traditional ways is to simply drink olive leaf tea. It's really easy to make. You just steep dried olive leaves in hot water, just like you would with any other herbal tea. Now, if you're looking for a more concentrated dose, you can actually find olive leaf extract in capsule or liquid form as well.
So you could have a cup of olive leaf tea for gentle daily support, or you could take a more concentrated extract if you're looking for a more targeted approach.
Exactly. You've got options. But of course, it's always a good idea to chat with your doctor before starting any new supplements, especially if you have any underlying health conditions or are already taking medications.
Absolutely. Safety should always come first. This has been so insightful, and I have to say, it sounds like olive leaf extract is a real nutritional powerhouse. But I know our listeners are probably wondering about olive oil as well, so let's shift gears and talk about that next, right?
Absolutely. Olive oil is a true Mediterranean marvel with a whole host of unique benefits. We'll dive into those next and see how they compare to the benefits of olive leaf extract.
Perfect. I can't wait to uncover the secrets of this culinary and medicinal superstar. Let's dive in. Okay, so we've covered olive leaf extract, but let's talk about something a little more familiar. Olive oil. It's a staple in so many kitchens, but what exactly makes it so special for our health?
Well, olive oil, especially the extra virgin kind, is really in a league of its own. It's full of these things called monounsaturated fats, and those are the heart-healthy kind.
So you're saying swapping out butter for olivism when I'm cooking is actually a good thing?
It can be, definitely, but like with any type of fat, even the healthy ones, moderation is always key.
Makes sense.
But olive oil is more than just a good source of healthy fats. It's also packed with these amazing antioxidants like vitamin E, which, really help to protect your cells from damage. And then there's this really interesting compound called oleocanthal.
Oleocanthal. That rings a bell. Did we talk about that when we were discussing olive leaf extract?
We did. Both olive oil and olive leaf contain oleocanthal, and what's really amazing about this compound is that it's been shown to have really potent anti-inflammatory properties.
So are you saying that olive oil acts like a natural pain reliever? That's pretty incredible.
It is, but the benefits go beyond just pain relief, you see. Chronic inflammation is a factor in so many diseases like heart disease, cancer, arthritis, even Alzheimer's. Reducing that inflammation throughout your body is really key for overall health and longevity.
So we've got the heart health benefits, the antioxidant power, and the anti-inflammatory benefits. Is there anything else that olive oil has to offer?
Well, studies have shown that olive oil can really promote a healthy gut. It does this by stimulating the production of bile, which is crucial for breaking down fats and absorbing those important nutrients. And it acts as a sort of lubricant for your digestive tract, which can be helpful for people who deal with constipation.
So olive oil helps keep things moving, literally. Now, I also remember from the source material that olive oil is good for the brain. How does that work?
You're right, there's a lot of research on this. Studies have shown a connection between regular olive oil consumption and a lower risk of cognitive decline. That includes Alzheimer's disease.
Really?
Yeah, the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds in olive oil, they really seem to help protect those brain cells from damage, and they might even improve communication between those cells.
It's amazing to think that one simple ingredient can have such a huge impact on different parts of our body. Is there anything olive oil can't do?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a magical cure-all or anything, but it really is incredibly versatile. And, it's not just for cooking. People have actually been using olive oil for skin and hair care for ages.
Oh yeah, I've tried an olive oil hair mask before. But does it really do anything besides just make your hair oily?
Olive oil is a fantastic natural moisturizer. It can really help hydrate and soften dry skin. And it even has these antibacterial properties, which can be really helpful for people with acne-prone skin. When it comes to hair, it can help to tame frizz, add shine, and even strengthen those hair strands.
It sounds like olive oil is basically a natural beauty product straight from the kitchen. It makes sense why it's been so popular throughout history. But with so many different kinds of olive oil out there, how do you know which one to choose?
That's a great question. Extra virgin olive oil is really the highest quality you can get. It has the most robust flavor and aroma, and that's because it comes from the first cold pressing of the olives. This means it keeps more of those good antioxidants and polyphenols we were talking about.
So extra virgin olive oil is the best option if I'm looking to get the most health benefits.
Exactly. It's the gold standard. But there are other types of olive oil out there too, like virgin olive oil and refined olive oil. Virgin olive oil is also cold pressed, but it has a slightly milder flavor.
Okay.
And then you have refined olive oil, which has gone through a process to remove impurities. And that gives it a higher smoke point, which means it's better for cooking at those high temperatures, like when you're frying something.
That makes sense. So extra virgin for the most flavor and health benefits, virgin for everyday cooking, and refined for when you need a higher heat. I can remember that. But what about using olive oil for things other than cooking and beauty? Are there other uses?
You know, there are. You mentioned trying that olive oil hair mask. That's one example. You can also use olive oil for oil pulling. It's this ancient Ayurvedic practice that's really good for oral hygiene.
Wait, oil pulling. You mean like switching oil around in your mouth?
Yeah, it might sound a little strange, but oil pulling with olive oil can really help to get rid of bacteria and toxins in your mouth. It can improve your gum health, and some people even say it whitens their teeth.
I never knew that. Olive oil really is a jack of our trades. But now I'm a bit confused. We've talked about all these benefits of both olive leaf extract and olive oil. So which one is better?
Well, it's not really about one being better than the other. They each have their own strengths, you know?
Okay.
Olive leaf extract is really good for boosting your immune system, fighting those infections, and keeping your blood sugar in check. Olive oil shines when it comes to heart health, good digestion, and external uses like we talked about with skin and hair care.
So it's not a competition. It's more like they're a dynamic duo working together.
Exactly. They complement each other beautifully. They both support your overall health and well-being in different ways.
This has been so eye-opening. I'm looking at olive trees in a whole new light now. But before we wrap things up, I'm curious about something. We've talked about the science, but I'm wondering if there's a historical or cultural side to olive trees as well.
Oh, absolutely. For centuries, olive trees have been so much more than just a source of food and medicine. They've held really deep cultural and spiritual significance in many different civilizations.
That sounds fascinating. Tell me more.
Well, in ancient Greece, the olive tree was seen as sacred. It symbolized peace, wisdom, and victory. They believed it was a gift from the goddess Athena. And, they actually used olive branches to crown the winners of game and wars.
Wow, so olive trees were symbols of success and honor.
They were, and in ancient Rome, olive oil was so valuable that it was actually used as currency. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
And it played a big role in religious ceremonies and was even used as fuel for lamps.
It's incredible how intertwined olive oil has been with human history for so long.
It really is. And, the symbolism of olive trees is still relevant today. The olive branch is still a universal emblem of peace and reconciliation.
It's a beautiful symbol. But what about the environmental impact of olive trees? Is olive farming sustainable?
That's a really important question. Olive trees are actually naturally drought resistant. That means they don't need a lot of water, which is really good for water conservation.
So that's definitely a plus for sustainability.
It is, and a lot of olive farms, especially the smaller one, still use those traditional organic methods, which is fantastic for the environment because it means they're not using a lot of pesticides and herbicides, which can harm the ecosystem.
So it sounds like the traditional methods of olive farming really work in harmony with nature. But what about the larger scale production of olive oil? Does that have a negative impact?
Yeah, that's where things get a bit more complicated. As the demand for olive oil has grown, so have the practices of intensive farming. And unfortunately, that can have some downsides.
Like what?
Well, intensive farming can lead to things like soil erosion, depletion of water resources, and in some cases, even loss of habitat.
I see.
And then there's the whole transportation and processing aspect of it, which can contribute to greenhouse gas emissions.
So it sounds like with olive oil, just like with a lot of things, there's a balance to be struck between production and making sure we're protecting the environment.
Exactly. It's really important for consumers to be aware of these issues and make informed choices when they're buying olive oil. Look for olive oils that are certified organic and that come from producers who are committed to those sustainable practices.
That's great advice. And speaking of being an informed consumer, I think it's worth mentioning that not all olive oil is created equal, right? There are a lot of imitations and even adulterated products out there.
You're absolutely right. Always try to go for extra virgin olive oil from a source you trust. Look for those certification seals and pay attention to things like the country of origins and the harvest date. Freshness is key.
Those are some great tips. I'm definitely going to be a lot more mindful of my olive oil choices from now on. This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the amazing world of olive trees. They're good for our health and for the planet.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you today.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to get your final thoughts. What's the main message you want our listeners to take away from today's episode?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that adding olive oil and olive leaf into your life can be a really simple but powerful way to boost your health and well-being. Whether you're enjoying a nice salad with some extra virgin olive oil drizzled on top or sipping on a soothing cup of olive leaf tea, you're connecting with centuries of tradition and benefiting from nature's incredible power to heal.
Beautifully said. And listeners, remember, it's those small, sustainable changes that we make over time that can really make a big difference in the long run.
Exactly. Just start incorporating a bit of olive oil and olive leaf into your routine and see how it makes you feel. You might be surprised at how much of a positive impact it can have.
I have a feeling a lot of our listeners are going to be stocking up on olive oil and olive leaf extract after this episode. This has been such an inspiring and informative deep dive. But before we say goodbye, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. What if, instead of just consuming olive oil and olive leaf, each of us actually planted an olive tree? Imagine the impact that could have on the environment, on our communities, and even on our own personal well-being.
That's a beautiful vision. It reminds us that even small acts can create ripples, that we can each contribute to positive change in the world.
And that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery, fellow knowledge seekers. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those olive trees thriving. Wow, we've really covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? It's amazing to think about all the history and knowledge that's wrapped up in olive trees.
It is. And, it really shows how something as basic as food can have such a huge impact on our health, our cultures, and even the planet.
It's incredible to me how both olive oil and olive leaf have been used for centuries, and not just for their health benefits, but in religious ceremonies, as currency, even as symbols of peace and victory.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how those symbols still resonate with us today. I mean, think about the olive branch. It's still universally recognized as a symbol of peace and reconciliation.
You're right, it's a powerful testament to the lasting legacy of these trees. As we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm wondering, for someone who's totally new to olive leaf extract, where's a good place to start?
Well, olive leaf tea is a really gentle and enjoyable way to begin. It has this kind of earthy, slightly bitter flavor that a lot of people find appealing, and you can usually find dried olive leaves at most health food stores.
Okay, so olive leaf tea is a good starting point. But what if someone's looking for something a little more potent?
Then olive leaf extract in capsule or liquid form would be a great option. Just make sure to start with a lower dose and gradually increase it as you need to, and always pay attention to how your body's reacting.
That's good advice. And of course, it's always a good idea to check with your doctor before starting any new supplements, especially if you have any health conditions or are taking medication.
Absolutely. Better safe than sorry, and getting personalized advice from a healthcare professional is always the best way to go.
Now, going back to olive oil for a moment, do you have any last tips for our listeners on how to make the most of this liquid gold?
I think the most important thing is to always choose a high-quality, extra virgin olive oil. Remember, that's the least processed type, and it has the most nutrients and flavor.
Right, and we talked about checking for certifications and looking at the harvest date to make sure it's fresh. Is there anything else to keep in mind?
Oh, and don't be afraid to experiment a little. Olive oil is like wine. There are so many different varieties and flavor profiles depending on where the olives were grown and how the oil was made.
It sounds like there's a whole world of olive oil tasting out there waiting to be explored.
There is. And remember, extra virgin olive oil is best enjoyed raw or at low temperature so you can really appreciate that delicate flavor and preserve all those beneficial compounds. So try drizzling it over salads, adding it to dips and sauces, or using it as a finishing touch on your cooked dishes.
Those are some great tips. I think our listeners are walking away from this deep dive with a whole new understanding of olive oil and olive leaf extract. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
I just want to emphasize that living a healthy life is all about finding what works best for you. It's about making those small, meaningful changes that you can actually stick with over time. And whether that means adding a little drizzle of olive oil to your meals, enjoying a cup of olive leaf tea, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the beauty and history of olive trees, those small acts can truly have a big impact on your well-being.
I love that. And I think it's a great reminder that nature is full of wisdom and healing power, and it's up to us to tap into those resources and use them wisely.
Exactly. It's about rediscovering our connection to nature and embracing the gifts that it has to offer.
Well, this has been such an enlightening conversation. I know I'll never look at an olive tree the same way again. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery, listeners. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those olive trees thriving.